So where's here? I am in, where am I? I'm in Heritage Village, which is part of the same park that Florida Botanical Gardens is part of. And we're going to walk through some of these old buildings. I'm a huge fan of historic buildings, so I absolutely love this little spot here. So we're going to walk through, learn a little bit more about these old buildings that were in other parts of Pinellas County, and share a little of what's going on. I already heard a blacksmith, and some of the buildings will be open with people talking about them and showing them off and stuff. So we'll take a look at all of that. And we're starting with the House of the Seven Gables, which is currently closed. It's a gorgeous house. It was originally on the bluff in Clearwater, which is one of the highest points in Pinellas County. And it was a rector's residence and a rooming house. There's information on the website for all of these houses, but I will read a little bit more as we take a walk around the building.
This impressive home rested on the bluff in downtown Clearwater near the Pinellas County Courthouse. From its wraparound porch, occupants enjoyed magnificent views of Clearwater Bay and the developing city. The elegant residence contains 13 rooms with a spacious living area suited for Edwardian tastes. For 6 decades, many people and families made this place a home. The home has classic late Queen Anne style features, including an asymmetrical shape, wings and gables facing in multiple directions, an impressive porch, and gingerbread details. David and Mary Starr visited the settlement of Clearwater Harbor in early 1886 and purchased land. David, a savvy entrepreneur, commuted for 20 years between their hometown of Rockford, Illinois, where he ran a manufacturing business, and Pinellas with his real estate and business enterprises. In 1896, the couple bought land for a home, waiting a decade to build their grand seasonal residence where they lived until 1917. In the early 1920s, Arthur Cornwell, an Episcopal minister, rented the home for his family. As rector of Church of the Ascension in Clearwater, he planned the opening of a new sanctuary. At home, he graded papers for his other full-time job, teaching at the city's high school.
Oh, looks like this one's open. Let's go see what's inside. I haven't been in. Oh, maybe not. Oh, there we go. I have not been inside this one. Many of these are air conditioned, blessedly. And they are set up as they might have been when the home was in use. Quite a small kitchen. Would not be popular with today's cooks, now would it? The upstairs
stairs are open. Looks like it. Oof. These are some steep stairs. These folks were fancy. They had indoor plumbing. Three bedroom, one bath, maybe originally a 4-bedroom. I'm not sure when this house was built. But maybe originally a 4-bedroom, and later on one of the bedrooms was turned into a bath, although it's really small to be a bedroom, but maybe. 1896. So it probably did not originally have an indoor bathroom. All right. I'm going to turn you off while I navigate these stairs with my really bad knees, and I'll be back. All right. I made it out of the Plant Sumner house. Again, you can get more information from the website. Looks like it's similar to, has a mysterious history. It's similar to the style of houses built by Henry Plant, who built the luxury hotel, the Bellevue, and he also built Tampa Bay Hotel, which is now the Plant Museum and part of the administration offices and classrooms for Tampa University. So it looks like they think that perhaps this was a house that maybe one of his railroad supervisors might have lived in. Heritage Village is a 21-acre living history museum, they call it. Those are the administration offices and all that good stuff. But they have taken buildings from around Pinellas County, historic buildings, and moved them here, restored them, and set them up to look like they might have looked back when they were in use. This is the Boyer Cottage, built by Bahamian native Joshua Boyer. It was originally up in Tarpon Springs. And if you've been up there, you know there are a lot of, there's Boyer, you see Boyer a lot. So quite simple, which a lot of these buildings, a lot of these homes would have been quite simple, especially for, you know, a small family. So Heritage Village takes these buildings, the buildings are donated, the historic homes are donated. They have probably purchased some, but maybe not. I'm not sure. I don't have that. I don't know. Maybe. But anyways, they have brought these, like I said, they restored them back to how they would have looked. And then they have this lovely walking semi-paved walkway that you can use to get around and look at the buildings, and many of them are open, and many of them are air conditioned, thankfully. So this is the Safety Harbor Church. And I think, as a lover of old buildings, my favorite part about this building is this tongue and groove, and then the wood ceiling, the wood floors,
It has some pretty good acoustics, I imagine. I'm not an acoustics person, so I can't say for sure, but it's a blessedly cold 73 degrees in here. This is Walsingham Road, and then right on the other side is Walsingham Park. You just barely see through the trees there. The lake, they call it Walsingham Reservoir, and I'm not sure if that's because it's actually dammed up as a reservoir or if it just is a lake like that and that's what they call it. But at any rate, it is part of McKay Creek. Was a really important waterway coming through Pinellas County, starts in mid-Pinellas and then flows north, strangely enough, to the Clearwater Harbor and empties out at a place now called McKay Point. McKay Creek was named for some brothers who lived along the creek, and we will see their what's called the McKay Creek boat shed, or the McKay boat shed, McKay Brothers boat shed. Anyways, we'll get there. This pavilion was built about 1892. These plaques are great because they show you where the original site was. So up in Tarpon Springs and Safford, like Boyer, is another name that you'll hear in Tarpon Springs quite a bit. And continuing with our Tarpon Springs area here, we have the Sponge Warehouse, which of course is what Tarpon Springs is known for. It's rather dark in there, so we'll be able to see some of it, but on the video you can see it better in person. If it's something you're interested in, you know, come take a look. But sponges were really what put Tarpon Springs on the map. But strangely enough, or maybe not strangely enough, the Greeks were not the first spongers, and in this area, I should say. And Tarpon Springs was not the first place where sponging was. It was not the first home of the sponge industry. Bailey's Bluff and a small area called Anclot were where the spongers first had their crawls, where they kept the sponges and where they anchored their boats and all of that good stuff. So this is kind of, you can find these, you can buy these in Tarpon Springs for cleaning, for bathing, all kinds of stuff. But it's a nice little exhibit with information about the sponge industry in Tarpon. And I'm doing a video which I don't know if it'll be out already when you get this video, maybe, but anyways, I'm doing a Forgotten Towns video about Anclot and how that was the first settlement up in that part of the county, and it was bypassed by the railroad and by the fishermen eventually for several reasons, several valid reasons, and became just a little neighborhood. So this is the Williams Park Bandstand. It's a gorgeous building. And around the park, they have these pages in the park, which are some kind of a reading adventure type thing. Our next house here is the Greenwood house. It is not currently open. What you see over many of the windows in these homes is hurricane protection. It's like a Kevlar type material called armor screen, and it protects these windows from hurricane damage. We're not going to go back the other way yet, but real quick, I just wanted to pop in here for this video and look at McKay Creek from down here. This bridge crosses McKay Creek from the parking lot, which is kind of the back entrance to the park, to Heritage Village, and to Botanical Gardens. It looks quite beautiful down there. I don't think you can really see it in the video, what a pretty creek it is. So it flows from south, which was that direction, to north, which is this direction, up through the Florida Botanical Gardens, which are up the creek. And then it continues north to Ridgecrest Park, John Taylor Park, and then through some residential neighborhoods, winds back over to the west, and finally empties out in Clearwater Harbor. And here beside McKay Creek, aptly enough, we have the McKay Creek Boat Shop. The Pinellas County area, Clearwater, Dunedin specifically, was the place where the Optimist pram was designed and first built. And this boathouse just has a lot of information about sailing in the area and different people who made sailing something that was extremely popular. Oh look, here's an old chart. Is it an old chart? I think it's a new chart. It says Caladesi Island, so it's not an old chart. But on this little two-person racing dinghy, your mast would have gone there. Have your rudder. Looks like a centerboard there under the chart. Your lines. So interesting stuff in here. If you're a boat person, and especially if you're a sailing person, this is well worth a visit. This is an older chart. We have Hog Island, Hurricane Pass. So this is Honeymoon. This would have been Caladesi. This would have been Dunedin Pass. There's downtown Dunedin. And Clearwater Beach. called it Little Pass, but it's Clearwater Pass now. So this is definitely an older chart. Really interesting. McKay Point, McKay Creek. There's Safety Harbor. See, there's nothing between them. Phillips Point, which is now Philippe Park. Cooper's Bayou, if you like kayaking, this is a great place to kayak. There's a little park here called Cooper's Bayou Park. And if you'd like to learn more about any of these designers, skippers, influential people in sailing in Pinellas County, you can scan the QR codes and learn about each of them. Some trophies. We have some knots. Bring the kids, let them practice tying knots. For those of you who don't know, my parents built a steel sailboat in our driveway when I was a kid in North Carolina. I recognize a lot of these tools. My dad had a lot of these. Probably still does, knowing him. Particularly like the planers and stuff. And so we lived on the boat for a couple of years. Did a lot of sailing around North Carolina, even before that, in their previous boat. And they're a day sailor, so they had, when my brother and I were born, they had first a day sailor. When they moved up there, there's a chart of Tarpon Springs. So they had first a day sailor when they moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, and then they had a little 23-foot seafarer, and then they built the 37-foot steel sailboat in our driveway, which some people liked and some people didn't. And then we lived on it for a couple of years, went cruising, we were homeschooled. It was a great childhood. Every kid should have a childhood, something similar to that. We learned the different history of places while we were going through there. So, you know, we learned about Charleston, Civil War when we were there, and we learned about St. Augustine and the Spaniards and all of that when we were in St. Augustine. And so, yeah, kind of living history as well, and I'm sure that plays into my love of history and why I love places like this, and why I love to share them also, because they kind of root us in who we are and where we came from. And we all have these really amazing, unique stories that mold who we are. And places like this share those stories for the rest of the world to learn about them and to learn from them. When I moved here in 2008, I had seen the names McMullen Booth Road and Coachman and all of that stuff, and until I came here, I didn't realize that those names were actually people who had lived in this area and, you know, were pioneers in this area and contributed so much to the growth of Pinellas County, or at that time West Hillsboro. So it was very interesting to come through and see the different houses and buildings with their names and kind of put two and two together. We're taking a little side tour to this building, which is, I don't think I've ever seen it open. It's the Union Academy, first built in 1916, and was in Tarpon, and was originally a white school, and then was donated to the black community so that they would have a school building. But like I said, it's never been open, so I've never been able to go inside. There is another schoolhouse here on the property which is open, and we'll be able to look at that. This Moore house is one of my favorite houses in the park. It's all the way in the back corner. I think it's an adorable little plan. It's really small, but I think it's absolutely adorable. And they have a little bedroom in the front. Really little bedroom. And we can come in. Generally, it's pretty dark. I think they opened up something, or maybe it's just later in the day today. My walk through Heritage Village video did not have this much light in it. So you'll notice, let me see, is there in here? There's no fireplace in this little building. And this, I believe, I read in the literature on the signage out front, that this little room back here was originally a patio, or some kind of open air room, and then was eventually converted to the kitchen. And then on this side, 2 bedrooms. So it was a 3-bedroom house with no bathroom. And I do wonder if one of these rooms was originally, well, I guess maybe that one's larger, so that would make more sense as the living area. And this as a bedroom area. One of the things I really love about this little house, besides that it's just adorable, if small on the inside. I'm not sure if you noticed the wood floors were, they had kind of a gap between them to allow dirt and stuff to just fall through. It was definitely one of the less expensive homes in the area, shall we say. Didn't have running water, of course. It had a pitcher pump. I'm sure it doesn't work, but I love this little garden. It's really overgrown right now. They have had in the past all kinds of vegetables and stuff growing in here like you would normally see in a kitchen garden, but it seems to have been left to its own devices. So there's a tomato plant still growing here. Some cabbage maybe, and probably some sweet potato over here, and that's about it. Bananas. This would be sugarcane, the tall stuff. It's a really gorgeous garden when they had it looking good, maintained. And then right in front of the water tower is kind of a windmill to generate energy. And then the water tower, of course, for storage. And you didn't see a bathroom inside, and that is because they used outhouses. So one of the most fun things about this living history museum, shall we say, is all of these little places little structures that show you how people would have lived back then, like this smokehouse. You can smell the smoke. And this, I'm not sure what this is. Something for sugar production, I'm sure. Old engine over there. That is the low barn, which has a lot of old carts and farm equipment in it. Old wagon. Lots of old tools. A lot of these things that they have on display have been found on the properties of the buildings that were donated or within the buildings that were donated. Another wagon. Kind of a fancier one. And I heard the blacksmith over here, so let's go take a look. I had horses for a long time. I've seen blacksmiths working. A lot of you probably have as well. But if you haven't, let's go see.
Plug it in. I just forgot about it.
What's that?
I said I can plug it in. I just forgot about it. Oh, I was just like, you gotta be careful. It's supposed to be 110 degrees.
So your wife and my wife
Heat
were
index at 12 o'clock.
Your wife and my wife were on the same page this morning.
Yeah.
It's like, don't you not drink water? I'll drink water, dear. You get too hot, you quit. You let James do the hard work.
Let him die.
He never does the hard work.
Yeah, I don't even know the meaning.
That.
Anything's better. Anything's better.
Bravo.
Well, how we did it the first summer.
I know. I wasn't here. That was right about a year ago right now when we got the fans, wasn't it? When you kind of told Jay that we needed to have fans or we were going to quit.
I think it was earlier this year, but it got so hot last night.
So there you go, a little bit of blacksmith. This park is free. I don't remember if I mentioned that, but this park is free. It runs completely off of grants, donations, whatever the county gives it as a county park. I need to remember to talk more slowly. So thank you for putting up with me. This little building over here is an old firehouse, like for horses, I think. And then this, I'm going to come back over here. So this was the low barn. We're going to come back over here to the low house. And low was important because they were associated also with McKay Creek, and Low Landing was a little community that he started. Let's see if this is open. It is. Anyways, I was saying before that this runs entirely off of donations and the like, so although it's free, I do always try to donate something when I come. It has this exhibit in it right now. This basket weaver, basket making exhibit. parts of a broom. This would have been a floor broom. Baskets maybe to drag things. Wow, these are gorgeous. Look at these. Those are stunning gourds that have been made into bottles and water carrying implements, canteens. Pine needle baskets. Oh, fascinating. We're not attempting upstairs again. Once on steep stairs was enough for my knees. So baskets obviously would have had a useful, functional value as things that people could use daily. And of course, I'm sure something like that would have been no entry. We're not going upstairs, obviously. Something like that would have been, these would have been great Christmas gifts. So if I remember correctly from when this was set up as a house, oh, there it is, parlor. I'm guessing this would have been a front door, perhaps. The parlor in here. Maybe a kitchen over here with the hearth. The bedrooms would have all been upstairs. Oh, kitchen. So this was the kitchen here. Maybe this was a dining room? Perhaps the kitchen here. Anyways. It was a nice fancy house. As, you know, compared to something like the Moore house. So we've come from the Low House. This is the Harris School. Should be open. Obviously, they used to have this set up with actual desks and stuff, like what you would have seen back in the day. I guess these were some of the, first practicing physician. Oh, Elizabeth Campbell. This is interesting because we talk about her, but mostly her husband, in the Forgotten Towns Bayview video. She was a local midwife. She was said to have assisted in the birth of roughly 55 children and raised 11 of her own. Goodness. So this is fun. Different important women in the area. First African-American librarian. Fanny Ponder. And I was saying, let's go over here, that it used to be set up with desks and stuff as you might have seen it. It looks like they use it for field trips now. Jenny Plum was the first paid public school teacher at Clearwater Elementary through 1873. She taught all grades in a little log Baptist church just east of the Plum House and received $100 for a term of 3 months. Interesting. It looks like, I just said that, they have it set up for field trips now. And for kids to be comfortable standing in front of this is amazing. That is so cool in a cold sort of way. We're going to move on because I have 26% battery and we have several buildings to look at still. So say goodbye to the Harris School. So we are, you too, here at the beach cottage. It's closed now for a new exhibit. This was the gift shop until a couple of years ago, and now it has rotating exhibits. Last week it was an exhibit about religious sound and religion or something like that. Interesting. I didn't come with my camera to film that though at that time, so I didn't get any of that. This is the McMullen booth, the McMullen Coachman log cabin, the oldest existing building in Pinellas County, and the one that featured in the Bayview video last week. So just want to point out the shingles are wood.
Rocking chairs are small and things are little. Got a rocking chair from my grandpa. It's short. And then my mom told me, oh, he's a short guy, he goes short.
So this was a 2-room, one on each side, with a loft.
Neat, huh? Nice garden. No, there was one of the houses that was close to the stairs were there, but then the top was, the door was to the top.
And these early houses had this dog trot breezeway to keep them cool, because of course no air conditioning. Let's see if I can, there's not much light in here, so maybe I can show it like that. So they had the wide porches, they had the dog trot. This one had a little loft up there. It had the dog trot that let breezes through. And a lot of people used to call them dog trots because they said it was where the dogs would sleep in the heat of the summer. called Sulphur Springs Depot. Here, ticket windows. Old tickets. And around here, they have a caboose. We'll let those people go through. There's a child with her. So we'll let them go through and then film in there, maybe.
Oh, this is an old train car. It says that this was
So what I've read in researching this caboose a while back is that this is where the train staff lived when they were, you know, locomoting from point A to point B. Those were their quarters back here. We are getting to the end of the line. We have 4 more buildings to go. This is one of the, we'll be leaving via one of the side entrances, which is where I parked. So this is the general store. Push. Barber shop next door. Oh, and it looks like a telegraph office.
Weren't you in here earlier?
Nope, I was not.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. That was someone that looked like you were dressed like you came through here.
I walked past, but I didn't come inside.
Oh, okay.
I started on the other side and I'm making my way around.
Good morning. Got back 100 years when you came through that. Yeah. The store was set up like 1925.
Help yourself, pay at the register.
The little door at the back is the garage. Right now we've got 2 Model T Fords and 1 Model U. Feel free to look around. Yeah. It's not air conditioning back there.
This old register. This is the garage at the back of the store with a couple of old cars in it. Here's the sign I was looking for. How'd you like to pay that for gas these days? So the guy in the store was just telling me that they started selling Diet Coke in there a few years ago, and people complained because Diet Coke wasn't around 100 years ago. But they put in air conditioning and no one complained, even though there wasn't air conditioning in there 100 years ago. But clearly no one's going to complain about that. This is the McMullen house, not the same McMullen.
Oh, welcome to the McMullen house.
Hi.
This is the second oldest house on the property.
Oh, great.
The oldest one is the McMullen Coach Log Cabin, which was James McMullen's place. This is Daniel and Margaret McMullen's place, and it's a good thing that...
And Daniel and James were brothers.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So you know the history?
A little bit.
I gave the full tour. You know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So they do a lot of fiber arts in here as well. My GoPro died, so I am filming with my camera, with my phone. Look at these walls. This is the volunteer who's in here was telling me these are center pine, which are termite resistant, and very rare wood now, so not allowed to use it anymore. So the house is in two parts. Again, the dog trot type thing that we would see here. We'll have to go back through the house to leave, but there's the dog trot. And the dining room. And the kitchens were often separated so that if the kitchen caught on fire, the rest of the house would not. That dog trot would also protect it from catching fire. And that is really evident in the Gamble mansion, where the kitchens that the slaves worked in were separated from the mansion in the back of the mansion by a dog trot. It's over here. Nothing's over here, just storage. All right. We will exit through the front door. The Walsingham house is closed for renovations, and it was set up toward it. It was set up as a physician's office, or physician's residence, I should say. And I do know they said after that it was like it was a rooming house. And you can see around the back of it, we'll see it from the other house, but around the back of it is stairs to go upstairs to the rooms. And then the newest addition is the Turner Bungalow, which I have not seen yet, and I'm super excited to see it. I haven't seen it on the inside, I should say. So there is the Walsingham house. And you can see the stairs and how people would have had to go upstairs for their rooms. But let's take a look at the Turner house. It's been here for a couple of years and has been undergoing renovations and just opened last year, I believe. So let's take a look. That was loud. The gift shop also has a lot of, they might have moved them here. I saw a lot of artifacts in the gift shop from this bungalow, so I don't know if they left them all there or how many of them they moved here. This light fixture, Art Deco, what a neat light fixture. I love this craftsman style. See if I can. It is just such an amazing building. And the renovations are beautifully done. Pantry maybe? It looks like maybe they painted the floor to resemble what might have been used, but it's definitely not a tile floor. Maybe concrete or vinyl or something like that. In honor of Geraldine Turner. The kitchen. Look at that sink. Wow. Look at that stove. The floor is like vinyl. And that's it, Turner Bungalow. All right, you guys, that is the end of Heritage Village. See Turner Bungalow behind me. As always, thank you so much for being here and enjoying one of my favorite spots in Pinellas County with me. I hope you enjoyed it and were inspired by the historic buildings and the stories behind some of them. And I also hope that you went to their website and learned a little bit more about it. If you're in the area, stop by, take a look, enjoy the history, and enjoy a little bit of time outside and seeing what makes Pinellas County, Pinellas County. Until next time, have a great week. Happy wandering. And again, thank you so much for watching.